he saw a gunshot wound on the neck, and he hesitated. He's sitting there like, and I immediately because the point of the training is I'm like, obviously you're not getting shot at. There's not people like bleeding out, so you're trying to make it as stressful as possible artificially as they're working. I'm like, oh, with tracers flying up, I'm like,
Welcome to How I Embraced the Suck, a podcast where you get to hear from veterans what life in the military is really like. I am your host, Walt, and before we start, you should know that I do not censor the show in any way. You have been warned. All right, well, today we've got Jared, who not only lost the war, but he gets to unclog toilets all week. Hey, Jared, what's up?
What's up, man? I lost the war in style, bro.
In style.
In style.
Were Pit Vipers out then?
Nah.
Yeah,
no,
so not the best of style.
No, it was a big a lot of the ESS ballistic glasses because they actually look pretty dope. A lot of guys wear those, or they'd get like fucking Oakleys or aviators.
Right.
Aviators.
I remember the gargoyles. I remember when that was a thing. I don't know if that. I mean, as a kid, I don't know if those were still.
When I was in every boot out of boot camp, his first trip to the PX was buy a pair of Oakleys
okay.
without fucking fault, myself included. I was a stereotypical boot.
Yep.
For those that don't know, a boot is basically a bitch. You are new. You don't know anything. You're retarded. Nobody likes you. You're a boot. You're fucking shower shoes. Even worse. You're a shower shoes when you're even step below that.
What's that? Shower shoes? You said?
Shower shoe. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because when you're in the military, it's like you're just succumb to like every disease that was supposed to be wiped out in the 19th century.
Right.
So like. Yeah, you don't shower barefoot in the like public showers and shit.
Gotcha.
So that's how you catch like super HIV, chlamydia, AIDS.
The worst kind.
The worst kind.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. So you were a lot of people say there's no such thing as a former Marine. Do you hold to that? Is that kind of your?
I don't care. That's some gay boomer shit.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, when I like talk to like some older guy or something, I'm an asshole. I'm like, there's no such thing as a former Marine.
Yeah. Sure.
I guess. I mean, it's definitely something that stays with you. I mean, even like the most fucking hardcore, like anti-government, like Luke or Typo or something like that, like they still have little mannerisms from the Marine Corps. It's a fucking cult, man. Once you leave the cult, you don't leave the cult shit.
There's always a thought you wish you'd stay.
Well, that's the difference between the Marine Corps and like the Army, Navy, or fucking Air Force is that the Marine Corps is a cult. Like,
right.
It's 100% a cult. Like, there's so much like just straight up like not even like government indoctrination, just indoctrination of like you're a fucking Marine. Like it's unreal, and it just stays with you.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. That like sailors or soldiers don't have that connection, and even less so airmen.
Yeah,
and coasties. I think I don't know that many, but coasties tend to have a little more connection. I think maybe just because the Coast Guard's so small.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's the same thing with the Marine Corps. It's such a small, it's just such a small branch, and then
that's true.
Honestly, and then a lot of times too, like. The Coast Guard is we all make fun of the Coast Guard, but the Coast Guard is like very defined of like either you were in the Coast Guard and you were a faggot, or you were in the Coast Guard and you did like really cool high speed low drag fucking recon shit. Like there's no in between. There's just you were a badass or you were a faggot. There's no like Pat was a badass. He didn't go into like war. Like we did like drug interdiction and shit. Like that dude got more training, better gear than I did. Fucking Yeah, it's
and
just,
he still complains about it.
He still complains about it.
with all fair,
always bitching.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and in the Coast Guard, like, if you're an officer, it's possible that you've heard of almost every other officer and not know them necessarily, but like the amount of overlap.
Yeah, it's the same
it
in the Marine
seems
Corps.
tiny.
I did a job at this fucking dude's house, a couple months ago. And me and him got to talking and shit, and it just like came up that I was in the military, and he was like, "What branch?" I was like, "Oh, I was in the Marine Corps," and he was like, He walked in. This dude was like he just got out. He was like a fucking lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, and he was a pilot. So then, because I'm sure we'll get into it, my job, I work a lot with pilots.
Right.
So immediately I start talking. I'm like, "Oh, do you know Master and so and Major so and so?" Fucking knew literally every motherfucker by like first name basis, known him for years. Every motherfucker that was ever in my like directly like in charge of me.
Right.
For the most part, except for like a couple of the real young captains, like knew every single bitch that was in charge of me. All the master sergeants, couple of the gunnies. This one major that he was like, "Oh, that guy was a fucking retard." And I was like, "Yeah, try having him in charge of you." It was fucking great, dude. Wonder why I got out. He just started chuckling. But yeah, me and him started going. The Marine Corps is very small. Usually pretty much everybody knows each other through about 4 or 5 people. Like if you go, if you're with another Marine and you were in the same time, if you go through 4 or 5 names and you're able to kind of connect a couple of them, you fucking know each other by extension.
The 4 degrees of Smedley Butler.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just too small. You got like what?
Right.
Like 250,000 fucking guys, something like that.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
It's a corps. Not a lot of people know this, but Marine Corps, a corps is an actual size of a military unit. It's a fucking corps. It's not very big.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, but the Marines have fixed wings. So when you were calling air in, were you dealing with your own assets, or was it?
It switched. I mean,
it did. Okay.
It would be, yeah. I mean, we'd have Air Force pilots, British Apache pilots, fucking American fucking Army helicopter pilots, Marine Corps pilots. I mean, It all depended. We got all kinds of shit.
Who was the easiest to communicate with? Or was it all the same pretty much?
It pretty much and more depends on the platform than the actual unit. So
okay, sure.
Honestly, the British rotary wing guys are the most fucking easiest because their rules of engagement are less restrictive than American helicopter pilots. So like, where I would have to have my tactical air controller, the guy that's above me, to do that quote unquote like buys the bomb. Mm-hmm. The one that says cleared hot and it actually means something on a radio. For a American helicopter pilot, I still have to have that authorization from him to actually unleash a payload. A British helicopter pilot would literally straight up be like, "Bro, all I need is the fucking target and I can execute it. Like, I just show me where it is and fucking I will lay waste with whatever I want." So like British helicopter pilots, all you would have to do is correlate them onto a target, and if they in their mind were like, "Okay, this is a bad guy engaging friendlies," like, and they could just authorize themselves to actually engage that target. Yeah, whereas American helicopter pilots weren't necessarily allowed to engage on their own unless they were directly being engaged. Then or the helicopter, if they were escorting like transport, so the helicopters that like brought us in, like the CH-53s, the Ospreys that were bringing us in, if they got engaged, then those helicopters could engage a target. But outside of that, they had to get clearance.
Well, what good is a bureaucracy if you don't involve it in every single decision?
Well, no, it's honestly it started because of backlash, because the beginning of the Iraq War and shit. Mm-hmm. You know, you see all those videos all the time that, you know, you're an anarchist. You see all those videos all the time of helicopters fucking just laying shit, like shooting friendly soldiers, shooting civilians. Well, that was because back in the day we did what's called, so there's different types of observation. You have a type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. A type 1 is like the air controller, the actual certified air controller that can buy the bomb, clear an aircraft hot, and clear it for engagement. And he can see the target, he can see the aircraft, and the aircraft can see the target. That's a type 1. A type 2 engagement is fucking basically what I did, where you have a joint fires observer. So I am basically a subsidiary. I'm the eyes and ears of a tactical air controller. So that was my job. So I would do everything. I would spin everything up, and how much leeway you get depends on your relationship with your air controller. So my air controller that I actually trained with for my unit a lot, I was pretty much a JTAC. And then if we ever got into a situation where I always got denied by our higher ups because they were cocksuckers. But me and him had worked it out that he trusted me and the other JFOs, like, because we worked with us so much and we were all smart and knew what we were doing, that he would pretty much spot our stats and shit, and he would just clear it.
Okay.
A type 3, so this is where the problem comes to. A type 3 is where you give an aircraft a fucking box and a time limit, and you have this amount of fucking time in this fucking box to engage anything you see. Everything in this area is deemed hostile. Go ham. Just fucking, you don't need secondary authorization. Just come in and just sweep the fucking place.
Sure.
So they used to use type 3 observations a lot. They used to literally use rotary wings as almost like a tank battalion, where they would just send them out and they would just find shit on their own and engage it. And that's fucking retarded because aircraft can't see a goddamn thing. So they wound up killing a lot of civilians. Honestly, thankfully, the military kind of reined back their rotary wing assets and said, no, you need actual ground observers. It's the same reason why Obama's drone strikes fucking killed so many goddamn civilians. Right. Because you don't have a fucking ground observer spotting a target. It's a lot easier for some dickhead with binoculars like me to go, yeah, that's a fucking bad guy. We need to kill that. Here's the coordinates. Fucking kill it. Than some dickhead in fucking Las Vegas looking through a fucking camera on a fucking drone flying 15,000 feet in the air looking through a fucking straw that zooms in a lot.
Yep.
So that's, And then type 4 is basically just fucking nobody sees shit, just shoot it.
Oh, okay.
But so that's why American rotary wing, by the time I was in Afghanistan, was fucking, they were really reined back because obviously the backlash of killing journalists and hospital workers and all that fun jazz.
Doesn't look good on the media.
not really winning hearts and minds over here, boys. Believe it or not, the military does fucking react to that shit. It does.
Sure.
It has to. And I mean, and then they're very cognizant of the backlash of civilian forces when we fucking kill people that we're not supposed to kill. And it makes our job fucking harder. Sure. Especially in the Marine Corps, where you only have 6-7 month rotations in deployment, whereas the Army has 1 year rotations. So you have a fucking unit that goes in, fucks a bunch of shit up, kills a bunch of civilians. They're not necessarily even the unit that's going to have to deal with the repercussions of that. It's the fucking unit that's coming in green right behind them to rip out with them in another 3 months. Because the Marine Corps is so fucking small that we never have a big AO, so they would just rip dudes in and out over and over again.
Right. You mentioned all your fire missions got denied, and you're a little bitter about that. What? Yeah, because I was very good at my fucking job, and they were deconflicted from any fucking civilian casualties. My fucking captain, my lieutenant colonel, was just a fucking faggot bitch. I got denied. My personal favorite one was I got denied off one because it was too close to a fucking mud wall. That was another 130 fucking meters away from any fucking building whatsoever. There was a fucking machine gunner sitting right on a fucking corner. I got my fucking homeboy over here to fucking pop a fucking smoke grenade on that dickhead with an M203 so I could correlate off that. I fucking told my JTAC or FAC, forward air controller, he's an Marine pilot that does his ground side duty. I told him to basically suck a dick because he was trying to correlate the aircraft from some fucking compound and couldn't even see the fucking target. And I'm just sitting here with my homeboy with his M203, and I was like, you got fucking smoke grenades on you? And he's like, you're goddamn right, I got smoke grenades on me. And I was like, stand by real quick. And I just got over the radio, and we had what the fuck did we have on station? It was a fixed wing asset. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was.
No, it was rotary wing. We had fucking Cobras on. Yeah, we had fucking Cobras on station. So we had Hellfires. Yeah, because I was trying to drop a Hellfire. So we had fucking Cobras that we had offset so that because anytime Taliban heard helicopters, they just fucked off. And we want to kill them. We don't want them to run.
Oh, yeah, okay. So he was like over the hill.
So we would keep them a couple clicks out, which fucking 8-9 kilometers is not much for a helicopter. They'll be there in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I fucking just come over the radio and I'm like, hey, I got a grunt right next to me with a smoke grenade ready to go whenever you want to get correlated on this target. And that helicopter pilot pretty much told that fucking fact. He just completely disregarded him, went to my call sign, fucking popped the smoke, and homeboy over here was fucking mark on. I mean, within about 50 to 25 meters, fucking right on that dude.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, call contact red smoke. And he's like, yeah, contact red smoke. I'm like, yeah, dude, that corner, basically, I'm not in. And he tallied the target and everything. And then my lieutenant colonel came over the radio and said that I'm not allowed to shoot a Hellfire that close to a mud wall.
Because he had eyes on the wall and he knew for the safety of the guys.
Yeah, but no, because according to our ROEs, the mud wall was at the actual compound. It's not the compound itself. The mud wall is the compound.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Even though I've watched Mark 19 grenade launchers, laws, and 50 cals hit that fucking mud wall and not even put a fucking dent into it. But,
right. I see what you're saying.
But a fucking blast frag Hellfire is somehow just going to atom bomb the entire fucking civilian population. Yeah, it was shit like that constantly.
Well, it's good to see you got over the bitterness.
Yeah, a little bit.
Fully.
No, dude.
I hear you.
That was one of the few moments in my life when I was really, really fucking cocky about something, like truly cocky about something. When I was in the Marine Corps, as an air observer, I was really fucking good at my job. Like, I was really, really, really fucking good at my job. And I got cucked for fucking 7 months. I fucking spent 7 months in Afghanistan. I shot 4 fucking rounds and 3 or 4, somewhere around there. I don't fucking remember. And I fucking didn't get a single airdrop. I called in helicopters for landings, but other than that, yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. When you got denied, what was the situation? Was it you're out in the field and you got active fire coming in on you or on somebody?
No, it was on me. So the way it worked. So my job, I was an 08, for anybody that wants to look it up, I was an 0861 fire support man. That's my original job designation. So within our field, within the Marine Corps, we're also a small community amongst 0861s.
Okay,
so, if you get deemed like, hey, you know artillery, because 0861 just deals with artillery, naval gunfire, and mortars, kind of.
Okay.
So you're like you're an artillery observer, basically. So then you can go to do when you're below a certain rank. So it used to be you had to be a sergeant to go to TACP school to be able to clear bombs, or no, staff sergeant. And then they lowered it to sergeant. Right before I got out, they actually lowered it to corporal because they were running out of TACP guys.
Oh wow, okay.
But but when I was in, it was still fucking. I was a lance corporal anyway, and they sent me to what's called JFO school. So that's basically like they teach you everything you need to know about correlating aircraft, calling in Cas9 lines, doing sit reps, doing LZs, doing CASEVACs. You do learn how to do everything besides fucking basically like you just don't get the actual training and knowledge because like for to be a TACP controller, like that school for being a JFO is like 2 weeks long. You're usually pretty much, if your unit's not complete garbage, which mine wasn't, because we deployed so many JFOs all the fucking time, so we actually got really good training. My JFO school is only like 2 weeks long. TACP school to actually be an air controller is a fucking $1 million fucking school, because you actually like have to go do live shoots with fucking aircraft multiple times. Sure. So you actually, before you're ever certified to be a TCP controller, you're getting multiple live drops. That I actually got to help with a couple times as a JFO. Right. That was fun because they have to get qualified for Type 2 observation. So because me and one other guy that they pulled a lot of times to go out to the field, and it was chill as fuck. We were just hanging out with all these fucking like high rank officers and fucking like staff and COs and shit.
Yeah,
We're just like, we're obviously senior JFOs, so we're just sitting there chilling with them in the fucking pod, just like, yeah, man. Then I'd get in arguments with fucking some of these younger TACP guys that fucking just said stupid shit. I'd be like, that's incorrect. They'd be like, who the fuck are you? And then the major would fucking come down, the actual JTAC, the fucking like the evaluator for JTACs would come down and light some officer up on my behalf. I'm like, this is awesome. This is the greatest field op ever. But
nice.
Yeah, so to be a JTAC, you had to be a certain rank, go to a certain school, and that's
okay.
how you would, yeah.
So is the JFO, right? Is that training in your unit, and then the JTAC is you go out for it? Or?
No, you
because you mentioned
JFO school. You go to Coronado, California, the same place that you go for my MOS for Naval Gunfighter School. Oh, and that's also where the SEALs do their butt shit. It's a fun place.
Gotcha.
But no, you go there for a little bit. It's a really chill. It's all fucking simulated shit. They have like some basically video game that's controlled that you fucking call for fire and shit like that. It was really funny too because not all the guys that go to JFO school are observers. Mm-hmm. So you have like half the class is like 0861 scout observers. So like very obviously know how to read a map very well, know how to pull a target very well, probably already know how to call in airstrikes because their fucking corporal or sergeant taught them how to do it already. Mm-hmm. Like know how to do all this shit. And it's really funny because the first 3 days of JFO school too is artillery, which at that point, I've been an artillery observer for like the fucking year and a half. So I'm like, really? Right. And it's funny because I actually had some fucking like 3-time combat deployed fucking Marine Force Recon guy. Fucking, he was a sergeant. And I remember I was still a Lance Corporal. And I remember he became my partner. And he just looked at me. He was like, are you a FIST guy? Oh no, FIST is a fire support team. So a lot of infantry guys would call us FIST guys.
Right.
And I was like, yes, Sergeant. He was like, listen, bro, I'm recon. Don't cut the sergeant shit. He was like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing here. I was told I had to come here.
Right.
He was like, please fucking help me. And I was just like, yeah, bro, I got you. He's like, thank God. I did too. I fucking helped him. I would sit there and go through everything with him. And I remember one of my corporals was there with me, and he was like, oh, I guess that's how you just talk to a fucking sergeant, is it? And that sergeant was like, shut the fuck up, bitch. And I was like, oh shit. He was like, when he's talking to me, you shut your fucking mouth. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Now, because now nobody likes you.
Yeah, now nobody. Well, this guy likes me.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, JFO school is fun.
Huh. Yeah, so you're like a year ahead in school, and he's 2 years behind.
Yeah,
but he's the high speed, cool trigger puller.
No, because his job is to be a fucking trigger puller. That's what he's trained to do his entire fucking Marine Corps career. He's a Force Recon guy. His job is to fucking kick in a door, kill a bunch of fucking people, toss a fucking frag grenade in there, and walk out with a smile on his face. His job isn't what I did. So it was funny because they'd usually send like scout snipers, some recon guys, radio operators to get that JFO qualification to do aircraft. And but very obviously, like, I've trained for years to do this, like even all the basic shit. My entire schoolhouse was nothing but like reading a map, plotting fucking azimuths, pulling fucking distances, pulling directions, calling for artillery, knowing the danger closes, the formulas, everything for all of it for fucking ever. So like the scout observers would always fucking do really well. In fact, the scout observers from our section, they would literally tell you when we went, it was actually a thing from our section from 3rd Battalion, 11th Marines. If you didn't place in the top 5 at JFO school, it was out of like 30, 40 guys, we called you a fucking shitbag when you got back.
Right.
Because we deployed more than any of the other fucking JFOs. We had more combat experience in our section than any of the other fucking FO sections.
Gotcha.
And we fucking prided ourselves in actually training our fucking guys up to do that shit. And we were in a bitch ass fucking unit that hadn't deployed since like 2009. So we would usually be able to tell them to go fuck themselves, and we'd be able to actually have good training.
Right.
Really experienced NCOs. So a lot of us, and we did, I mean, all of us were all fucking, I actually came in second in my class because one of my buddies is a fucking bitch, fucking cocksucker. No, I got fucked out of that too.
Was he from the same unit though?
Yeah, he was the same unit.
Okay,
He was one of my best. He's one of my good friends.
Nice.
Yeah, he fucking hit first in the class. I hit second because of one fucking mission. And the only reason is because we were doing naval gunfire.
Mm-hmm.
So naval guns, the one, what is it, 127 millimeter guns on destroyers and cruisers. Cruisers have 2, destroyers have 1. They shoot at a very flat trajectory.
Oh, so okay.
So on the map, we took a 29 Palms training area map, and we basically turned one of the like old like dried out desert lake beds and turned it into an actual like lake, and that's where the destroyer was. However, where they were having to shoot into the target area had a big ass fucking mountain, or it had a lot of hills and terrain. So I was sitting there and I'm like, all right. So I called high trajectory, which means I need the fucking gun to shoot at a fucking high angle to try to lob it over those fucking hills.
Right.
And this fucking fat, overweight, tubby-titted fucking civilian contractor, former F-18 pilot, was like, the mountains are notional. You're on a beach, so I'm deducting points. And I was like, I'm going to fucking fight your fat ass. I fucking lost my shit. I was like, you didn't fucking tell me that. I'm going off the information that I have. There's fucking mountains. And it's funny because my buddy that got first in the class had a different instructor, and he did the same thing, and they gave him bonus points for it. So he got bonus points, and I got points deducted for doing the same thing in class. Yeah, it was fucking awesome. I was super stoked about that.
All based on who was observing, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just made a call.
Who the instructor was. I had some boomer as fuck, tubby-titted, 185-pound overweight fucking F-18 pilot from like the 80s.
Sure, yeah.
And he had some dude that like was fit, clean cut, just got out of the military, was a former pilot, just got out of the military probably like fucking like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like sick life.
Oh, so you deployed later in your time in your 4 years?
Yeah, we were the last quote unquote. You know when Joe Biden and Obama were talking about how we're going to get out of Afghanistan in 2014.
Oh, that
we
time.
We were the last combat unit for their time frame.
Okay, gotcha.
So we deployed, what was it? It was like March, I think. I want to say, it's been a while now. Yeah, it was like March or so of 2014 that we deployed to Afghanistan.
Okay. Yeah, and you were there for like just a 6-month tour?
Yeah, we got out. We got back sometime like September-ish. Yeah, it was like beginning of September. Yeah. It was about 6 months and some change. It was like 6 months, like 2-3 weeks. We were ripping out in stages, and I was one of the last guys that had to stay back on Leatherneck because we were the quote unquote like QRF. And I mean, nothing happened. I was just part of the QRF. So I basically, my last 2-3 weeks in Afghanistan, I just like beat my dick and fucking watched movies and worked out. Like I really didn't do shit. I really didn't do shit my first 3 weeks in Afghanistan and my last 3 weeks in Afghanistan, man.
Okay, sure.
Masturbated a lot, watched a lot of movies, and lifted a lot of weights. That's pretty much all I did.
Well, isn't there like an acclimation period or something anyhow, or?
Well, you get ripped out with a unit, so.
Oh, okay.
There's overlap between the unit that you're replacing and your unit. And there's like this whole 2-3 week period of fucking, hey, this is what's happening. This is where the motor pool is. This is everything that's fucked up. So you go through this whole thing where they're still the active unit in the area, but they're getting ready to leave, and we're the unit that's supposed to be taking over for them. And then also it's just all the bureaucratic paperwork bullshit and everything like that. Like, I mean, we got off the plane when we landed in Leatherneck, and it was like we stayed in some barracks place, some shithole for fucking like a week, and then finally my unit went to Camp Bastion, which is the British Air Base side of Leatherneck. And Yeah, it's like a bus ride there. And yeah, we got our squad bays and everything like that. They're basically like hollowed out Connex boxes that are turned into fucking little mini homes for like 8 dudes.
Okay. Really living it up.
Yeah, dude.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much you want to go into the deployment and all that, but just whatever you want to touch.
No. So.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, what questions do you have about it? Like, what did we do? What was our mission?
Yeah. Like you were in the Helmand province. You said.
A little bit of singing too. We fucked around with singing a couple times.
Okay.
When we were so our whole mission was to quote unquote disrupt the enemy and assist with the drawdown of bases in Afghanistan. So we were we were following Obama's fucking timeline. We're gonna get out of Afghanistan in fucking 2014 and
period.
Yeah, period. Yeah, fucking. And it was funny because that actually like helped me a lot with my belief structure because I was like, man, we're gonna lose this fucking war. We're leaving in 2014.
Right.
Where the fuck did we win?
Sure.
But no. So we were in Helmand province. So my unit fucking basically we did what's called disruption missions where our command took some shitty ass intelligence, literally shitty ass intelligence, and would pick a fucking place that hadn't had NATO ISAF troops move through in a couple years, and we would just go there.
Okay, sure.
We would have quote unquote points of interest to fucking like houses to search and shit like that with the ANA and Afghan National Army, and basically like just fucking. Hey, we get shot at. That's the bad guy. Like, okay.
Reconnaissance by fire. Perfect.
Reconnaissance by fire. Yeah, it's funny because Matt from Status Quo was in Iraq in 2008, and his mission was the exact same. Just walk around.
Okay.
Shot at.
Nice.
Yeah, ours was a little bit more pointed and bitchy. It was more like, hey, we're gonna go into this area or this town or fucking yada yada yada. A lot of it was bullshit. Like I remember, like. I've said it multiple times. One of my favorite stories, but my first like big mission is called the truck stop. And basically, the reasoning from our wonderful boys in military intelligence was this was a drop off point for the Taliban for drugs and weapons and IEDs and fucking material and all kinds of shit. And fucking, when we landed here, man, it was gonna be our fucking. We were gonna have a battle. Like we were gonna fucking sling lead. Like it was gonna be hell. So we landed in this fucking place, hauled everybody out of their fucking houses in this fucking town for my platoon. And all the points of interest that were quote unquote weapons and drug stashes were poop pits. So they were literally just dug up pits that they would shit in and then bury the shit. So they were all poop pits. And then we were supposed to get resupplied with water at around noon. We landed at about 4 in the morning.
Oh wow, okay.
We were supposed to get resupplied with water about noon. So about 3 p.m. comes by and everybody's running out of water. We're fucking sitting here. There's absolutely no engagement. Nobody's been shot at. We had a lieutenant freaking out about some dude that had fucking $17,000 in Pakistani currency, and thankfully my company commander was actually a very intelligent, competent company commander. Like my captain that I deployed with and my first sergeant, to be honest, were very competent, logical, and fucking intelligent people. And I literally remember sitting there listening to my fucking retarded ass platoon commander fucking go off and off about fucking this car that we interdicted. And fucking, they had like, I think they had about $4,000 in whatever Afghani currency. They had about, and I actually think it was about $9,000 in Pakistani currency. And they had like, I don't know, some miscellaneous shit. It's Afghanistan. It's a fucking war zone. Everybody just has whatever money's around.
Right.
And my fucking lieutenant's like, I think this guy's Taliban on the radio, fucking talking about all this money he has. And our fucking company commander comes up the rook and he's like, sir, you're in a fucking third world country. That's like $50.
Right.
He literally has he's like, does he have like food and shit in his car? Yeah, he's probably coming back from the fucking market, you dumbass. So we just like ruined this dude's entire fucking day for just having for being poor.
Right.
Like,
right. Making a run to the farmer's market.
I mean, that's the kind of shit that we dealt with, but yeah, all in total, I probably went on. It was like somewhere. Fuck, I used to know the exact number. It's been a while now. I went somewhere between I want to say about 35 to 40 missions. Maybe half of those were combat.
Sure.
Like actual combat, not just like I'm sitting in an MRAP and like one AK.
Right,
round
you had contact and bullets fired.
Like there was an actual danger to my body itself. Like 'cause I had a lot of the missions, it'd be like rounds would pelt the truck or something, but I'm in a fucking MRAP, so I'm just like, oh.
Sure. Yeah. Keep driving.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, man, that was pretty much it. We just went to areas, quote unquote disrupted the enemy. And that was it. And we would cycle in rotations too. So you'd have one platoon that would be the QRF, one platoon that would be the ground combat force, and one platoon that would be the helicopter attack force. And we rotate through that.
Oh, okay.
So being QRF was kind of like your break status and was week by week. So you would have 1 week where you were QRF and there would be a couple times that you would kind of go on standby. I actually remember one time my dick got really hard. Apparently there were some special forces folks that were getting into a TIC. A TIC is troops in contact. So when you call a TIC, that's basically saying like, no, we're in the shit. We can't maneuver without getting fucking smoked. We're pretty much just sitting here exchanging rounds.
Sure.
Like that's it. That's all that's happening is I'm so pinned down that we're just bunkered down and just throwing fucking lead back and forth at each other is what a TIC is. So a TIC is a bad situation. And so these special forces homies that fucking called a TIC, and my whole fucking unit, my platoon got stood up to go fucking help. And we were sitting there like, let's fucking go, bro. I want to fucking do this shit. This is going to be the coolest thing. Didn't happen. They brought in an AC-130 and it pretty much glassed the fucking area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
We got stood down. I was pissed. I was fucking so pissed. I was like, that'd be cool as fuck. But yeah. That's pretty much it, man. That's what we did the whole fucking deployment. We operated a lot of times in what's called I don't know if it was called a triangle of death. It was a triangle though. So you had Camp Leatherneck, and about 15, 20 clicks north of that, you had a place called Foot Mountain. It's basically Helmand Province is flat fucking desert, just forever rocky flat desert. So Foot Mountain was just one fucking mountain that just pooped itself right up out of the fucking desert. The Taliban used it. There's a bunch of little villages and shit all over the place around it. You had Larshiga, Shapushta, Gareshk. Fucking those are the three I remember because they were the fun ones. And then also like there was Taliban strong points on there where they had an actual ZPU 23mm fucking anti-aircraft gun.
Oh wow, okay.
That was pretty titties. Yeah, we bombed the fuck out of that place. We had like fucking 6 B-1 bombers come in and just glass that whole mountain.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a fun time. One corporal almost fucked that whole mission up too. That was really funny. He wanted to practice doing map plots on our programs, and he wound up just fucking not like naming any of them and just plotted over all the fucking plots that the B-1 bombers were supposed to drop bombs on. So basically, an entire day of work had to be redone in about 2 hours before the bombs dropped. Fucking everybody just scrambling. Yeah, it was funny as shit.
Wow.
Yeah. I was just trying to practice. Those hurt. Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
But yeah, it's really not much exciting. Like I had a couple hot points. Like we had a couple missions that we took some contact and shit.
Sure. Yeah.
But it would vary. Probably the first one was we started getting shot at by about 2 or 3 fucking snipers. When I say snipers, but they just had bolt action rifles. They were pinging at us from range. And that little bastard almost took my fucking head off. Shit. 8mm round when it whips past your face, you definitely feel that shit. I'll tell you that much right now. That shit fucking, you feel that round. Oh yeah. Wow. the little sonic boom off that fucking 8mm round coming past you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you feel that bitch. You feel it right against your cheek. You're like, whoo,
little kiss,
little kiss.
Huh.
But then we'd have other ones where it was literally just a full-on firefight. We'd get into a full-on fucking just dudes with machine guns, AKs, all kinds of shit. Probably the scariest moment though for me, the worst moment, the reason I hate fucking flying to this day was one day. So usually, we'd be coming in. They'd always give me the cranial for when we were in the helicopter because I'm quote unquote the air guy and I talk the wizard magic.
Yeah.
So I would wear the cranial. My fucking staff sergeant, when I got him and we got a different staff sergeant because my first one got his legs blown off. So we got a different staff sergeant. But he was more experienced and fucking, he would literally just be like, here, he started giving me the cranial and he would tell me which direction he wanted the helicopter to orient as we landed.
Right.
So I would coordinate that with the air guys. I'd just be like, hey, this is your JFO on board, blah, 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 blah. Like, hey, we want to be landed facing this direction. Is that possible? Yep. Okay, cool. And I'd just give him a nod, be like, yeah, we're good. Because we wanted to land and then everybody's oriented in the same direction. We come out, form a circle. Everybody knows where they are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But so one day, but other than that, pretty much it's a nap fest because the helicopters don't go a straight line. They'll kind of weave around. They'll go to a free fire area and check their fucking weapons. Like they'll just pop a couple rounds off with their weapons, make sure 50 cals are up and everything.
Sure.
So we're fucking sitting there. I am fucking. It is like.
Are these like 60s? You're in?
Stage 53s.
Okay.
We were in stage 53s, which at that point, and we also had. We also had CH-47s and Ospreys.
Oh, okay.
We would,
Gotcha.
The CH-47s are the most terrifying fucking aircraft I've ever been in my entire goddamn life. Second only to the fucking Ospreys. CH-53s are great, dude. That is such a stable fucking helicopter. That's such a great helicopter platform.
Yeah.
Like, it's smooth, it's steady. You're riding in it. You're just like, this is nice. Fucking CH-47s, like, the whole time, like, it's rocking. There's fucking just fluids leaking everywhere. Fucking
right.
You're just like your first sergeant's like, all right, man. If you're in the CH-53s, I'll see you when you get there. If you see CH-47s, I'll see if you survive. And fucking what? I mean, Ospreys are fucking terrifying. Everybody thinks it's so cool how they fucking like turn from a helicopter to an airplane. What they don't realize is in that transitional period, they lose lift and they drop about 50 feet.
Oh, okay.
They'll be in the helicopter.
From...
So they'll be in their little helicopter mode. They'll pick you up, and you'll be on the helicopter, and they'll gain altitude, and they'll start flying forward, and they'll start gaining speed, and then those rotors will start to come down, and there's a little intermediate period where you just lose all lift, so it just fucking drops.
Oh, okay.
And you fucking want to shit yourself.
Gotcha.
But no.
So you've experienced a 0G environment.
Yeah, it was fun. The scariest point of my entire fucking deployment, honestly, and this is against like being actually directly shot at as a human being, was when I was in a fucking helicopter and I'm like passing out. We were in CH-53 though, and I'm fucking like half passed out, waiting for them to just talk about how we're like ETA on drop point and shit like that. And then all of a sudden I hear contact. I'm like, wait, what? And I fucking wake up. So the doors of these CH-53s are open. And they have a door gunner just chilling there. And I wake up to fucking tracers just flying past this fucking door. And I'm like, man, that was a really good pilot. So that CH-53, there's no video. I wish it was. But that CH-53, dude, he's fucking flying straight. All of a sudden, I feel that whole aircraft lips up to the right and then just dive. Fucking straight dive. I'm like... with tracers flying up. I'm like, it's fucking dying. My fucking staff sergeant, he's an old Iraq vet, so he's crazy. He's just sitting there like, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, man, that shit was fun.
Oh, wow.
And then side story to that, I actually managed, while I was freaking out, I talked to our escort Cobras, and I actually got them to get tally on the fucking target, one of the PKM gunners that were shooting at us. It was a group of them.
Yeah.
But that target got denied because they got into a car.
Oh, okay. Sure, ROE again.
Yeah, they got into a car, so we just don't know if there's anybody else in that car. So
okay.
We can't engage that car. Listen, man, I'm as libertarian as the next fucking guy, but that motherfucker was shooting at me with a fucking machine gun.
Right.
Okay, like I get it. Yeah, I'm a colonizer. Fuck you. Like I don't get that guy was shooting at me with a fucking machine gun in my helicopter, and I had full tally on him and his little buddies that were popping rounds off of their AKs and shit. Like, I don't care that he got into a car. Fucking smoke that bitch, please.
It's a bigger target now. You can't miss.
Like, seriously though, it's like
it's got a heat signature.
It's like people sit there and I'm getting denied for that, but the U.S. government can kill some fucking aid worker and like 7 kids.
Right.
Are you fucking people serious?
Yeah. So I was curious about that. Did the ROE change while you were there? And if it did, how quickly? Was it like one day after this?
No, it was hostile act, hostile intent. It was
okay. The whole time.
It was always hostile act, hostile intent. If you can articulate that somebody has the intent to kill you, or they're actually actively trying to kill you,
okay,
fucking kill
gotcha.
It was a little bit less restrictive in the early days. Like I remember I had some Iraq vet that was my machine gunner in my truck. First time we were getting engaged, and he's like sitting there and he's like, "Man, I miss Iraq where I could just kill anybody that was staring at me talking on a cell phone." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Active spotter, bro." He's like, "We're getting engaged." He's like, "Some dickheads on a walkie-talkie or a cell phone just staring at me." And he's like, "Smoke them." I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Wow.
I'm like, hearts and minds, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was very obviously a couple times we actually had a couple of contact points that we were getting RPGs and mortars lobbed at us, and there was a dude that's like so obviously a spotter, but we can't engage him because he doesn't have a weapon. We're just like,
yeah.
But like that dude's literally sitting there like peeking around a corner, talking on a walkie-talkie, staring at us and going out from around the corner, and then we get rounds onto us, and then he's back fucking looking around the corner again.
Right.
Like sitting there like, can I just shoot this dude in the head? Please?
Right, and it's a shot you can make too. It's
like
not...
I'm a redneck. Like I could just like, can I just like we got snipers. If you want them to do it, they can do it. But like I kind of wanted because I know what he's doing. Like I'm an observer. I know what he's doing. But you couldn't do that shit because fucking because it's really funny watching the government trying to clusterfuck its way around trying to be an imperial power. That's pretty much what it is they don't fucking know what to do. They can't go too soft, they can't go too fucking hard, but like there's no fucking logical consistency at all. Like you can sit there and as a trained dude sit there and stare at a guy and be like, that is a fucking bitch. Like that dude needs to die. And fucking but according to ROEs it's like I can't.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, the fucking U.S. government itself will just lay waste to fucking civilians all fucking day. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Right. Right. Huh. Yeah, that's rough. In guys that you deployed with versus guys that you spent time with stateside, was there a difference in the camaraderie, like the bonding?
Yeah.
Because, do you think it was because you were deployed, or was it the combat you were in, or what?
I mean, it's also like, so I have probably my 2 best friends in the Marine Corps that live. One of them lives out here with me in Kentucky, and the other one lives up in Cleveland, Ohio. And they're my 2 best friends. But the thing is, they were my best friends before we deployed. So a lot of the guys that you deploy with, you're already good friends with. Like you're in the same unit together. You've been around each other for years. Me and my one buddy, we were literally one schoolhouse class away from each other. I knew him from back in the schoolhouse when we were learning artillery. When I was awaiting training. So you're good friends with these fucking dudes for a while before you deploy with them. Like one of the best memories of my life was just getting back, taking a bus back to fucking Camp Bastion whenever I had to, because I was always a part of like the briefings and shit for air and everything like that. Because I was an air guy, me and the other dudes. And so when I got back, my one buddy, my best friend, and one of them was a weapons company, and they were stationed in Leatherneck. The other one was in the COC, so he was stationed in Leatherneck because he handled the regiment air. And I would every time, man, my best memories are coming back, and like we would just chain smoke cigarettes in the fucking smoke pit. My one buddy had an acoustic guitar, sit there and play songs and shit. We'd play music and just fucking hang out. But that's, I mean, you're already friends before you fucking deploy. And then, like, you get back, and then obviously it just gets manipulated even further. Just like, now you've been friends before, then you deploy together, and you come back, and you're still fucking friends. And then, but I mean, at the same token, though, like Luke and Typo, I didn't deploy with them. I didn't know them until after I got back from deployment, but they're obviously very good friends to me.
Yeah. Well, that's probably for your own safety. Probably worked out to your safety to not deploy with them, I would bet.
Especially Typo. Fuck Typo. No, it was what it was, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends.
Yeah.
I liked Luke because he showed up to our unit and he was good at his job, and he was kind of like me, where he hated all the faggot shit. Where me and Luke were both very motivated Marines, especially as NCOs. Like, we were both corporals together. He picked up sergeant before I did. He was a sergeant over me for a bit.
Okay.
But we were very like, hey, I want to train my fucking guys. I want, like, and Luke was very good about, like, being a radio operator, because obviously we were FOs, like, we have radio operators attached to us, but he was very big on, and I was very big on, because I had quote unquote deployed as a radio operator. It was kind of a fucking gimmicky thing. But but I was very big on, like, listen, like, I understand you're not a radio operator or an FO, but your fucking weapon is your radio, so maybe you should know how to use it, how to program it, how to troubleshoot it, how to make it operate correctly, like you would your rifle if you were an infantryman. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like, an infantryman's fucking rifle is his fucking life, and a forward observer's weapon is his fucking radio. Like, that is your lifeblood. That is how you bring in your boom booms. Like, that is your fucking shit. So, me and Luke were both very everybody, radio operators, the FOs, everybody, all the junior guys need to learn how to use the fucking radios and shit. And it was the bureaucracy that killed us, because, like, these fucking kids don't even know how to operate an actual fucking radio that they're actually going to use on deployment, but we need to focus on, like, digital communications or some other faggot officer bullshit. Or I would also go into, like, hey, like, these guys are going to be attached to infantry. Like, thankfully, I got really lucky where a lot of my NCOs had deployed with infantry and had taught me how to patrol with infantry, some of the shit infantry does, like how to move with them, so you just don't look like a fucking fumbling faggot when you're with them.
Right.
That's the worst thing. They already know you're a pogue. They already know you're not a grunt. So they already hate you. You're a boot probably, so they already fucking hate you for that, because most of them probably have, at least half of them have a deployment under the belt. You're a fucking NCO that doesn't fucking rate being a fucking NCO, so they fucking hate you for that, because even Lance Corporals that have, like, 2 deployments are still fucking Lance Corporals, and you're a corporal somehow.
Right.
So at the very fucking least, don't look like a faggot when you go out on patrol with them.
Right. Yeah.
And that gets lost on officer and leadership like that. So that's why me and Luke became very good friends, because we were both of the same mindset. Like, we were both very good NCOs, where, like, I genuinely fucking care about my guys. Like, I want my guys to live. I want them to be trained. I want them to be competent. I want them to be fucking ready. And he, even without combat experience, was the exact same fucking way. And we both would try all the fucking time. It was like fucking fighting tooth and nail just to train our fucking guys.
Right.
Constantly. So yeah, that's how we honestly became friends. It was literally just both of us being NCOs trying to deal with all this fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Huh. How difficult was it to lead your troops when you can't slap them? Was that pretty tough?
Oh, what are you talking about? I beat the fuck out of my guys all the fucking time. Oh, fuck that fucking hazing bullshit. I dare them to call hazing charges on me. I told my fucking guys all the time, I was like, call a hazing charge on me, I'm gonna make it worth it. And I had a couple kids that, like, had already called hazing on, like, their NCOs for, like, stupid petty bullshit. And we, at Small Marine Corps, we always found out about it. Like, they would do it in the schoolhouse and shit. And I'd have multiple fucking kids that would show up to my fucking unit, and I'd be put in charge of them. And I'd be like, I already know what you did in the fucking schoolhouse, calling hazing like a little faggot fucking bitch. I just want to let you know you're never going to deploy without my fucking say-so now. You're a fucking pussy faggot bitch. You're not a fucking man. You have no fucking balls. You can't handle some fucking dude yelling at you, and you think you're going to go to fucking war? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, for
and then I told him, I was like, and I promise you ever call hazing on me, for one, it's not going to go anywhere because all the staff and civilian officers like me. And two, I will literally lock myself in this fucking room with you and beat the fuck out of you. If you call hazing on me, we will fight. Do you think you can take me? No, Corporal. No, Corporal. I fucking know for a fact you can't fucking take me.
Right.
So call hazing on me. I'll fucking beat your fucking teeth in. At least I'll give the fucking record something to fucking reflect that hazing was done.
Right. Instead of just hurt feelings.
Dude, it was fucking pathetic. I had quite a few guys like that. And guess what? I got multiple hazing charges brought against me. They never stuck. Never got in trouble for it. It was fucking weird. I mean, and it was always like outside shit. Like I remember one day we were doing, I was training my guys. We were at the motor pool. We weren't really doing anything. So I was like, fuck it, we're going to do mass casualty drills. So mass casualties, like, you know, you have multiple casts, which is good. As a forward observer that's in charge of like the LZ and the casevacs and shit like that, communicating with the aircraft, you're very involved with your corpsmen and treating and triaging troops. You're very involved with that. It's one of those, like, they don't really teach it in the schoolhouse, but as you get experience in the job and everything like that, you become, it's a very integral part. I joke about it. One of our friends, I know you know Via Woman Nat Geo on Twitter. She's an actual fucking doctor, and I fuck with her a lot. But me, like, I actually have a legitimate wealth of like medical knowledge.
Okay, sure.
We fucking, it was fuck, what was I going? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Mass casualty. So okay, drills. So thank you. I was doing mass casualty drills, and so the way I would do it is I'd have a couple of my guys with their backs turned, and then I'd have like 3-4 guys lay on the ground, and I would take a sticky note and I would write the injury, and I would just stick it somewhere on their body. So I'd put like sucking chest wound, and I'd put it like up under their shirt on their. It was the best. It was, you know, like make it as good as you can. So one of them, but a couple of them would have obvious shit that's just hard.
You're over there shooting your guys to make it as realistic as possible.
No, a couple of them would have obvious ones that were just hard to treat. For the story too, one of them had a gunshot wound in the neck.
Oh yeah,
a gunshot wound in the neck is not fun.
Yeah.
So I had this young Marine, and he fucking ran up to this kid. And he saw a gunshot wound on the neck. And he hesitated. He's sitting there like, and I immediately, because the point of the training is obviously you're not getting shot at. There's not people like bleeding out. So you're trying to make it as stressful as possible, artificially as they're working. So I fucking have what the fuck are you doing? Stop fucking hesitating. Get the fucking moving. He's fucking bleeding out. Fucking move now, motherfucker. You fucking bitch. Fucking move. And so he just starts freaking out, pulls out a tourniquet, and starts wrapping a tourniquet around the kid's neck. And it was funny because the kid that's laying on the ground, obviously I have my more senior guys, my more senior Lance corporals, are more spun up, more trained. I have them being the ones on the ground, obviously. Because, you know, you want the younger guys to do the training. And the look on this dude's face, I won't dox his name. He was one of my favorites. He kind of got fucked by the Marine Corps too, because he was a very good Marine and he was very knowledgeable, but he kind of got casted aside for some fucking I love the dude. His first name was what was it? I think it was Chris. Yeah. But he was fucking Luke and Typo would know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I just see this dude. He's jacked as shit, dude. I just see this dude staring at me like, purple help. So I fucking stop. I'm like, hey, stop. And I get like, and it was funny because my senior guys would always, whenever I'd go from like yelling to like a really calm voice, they'd be like, oh shit.
Right. This is trouble.
So I'm like, stop real quick. Stop. And he immediately, he's sitting there. He's like, oh, thank God. And I took the tourniquet off his neck and I put it on the new kid's neck.
Right.
And I was like standing at attention. And he's like, I corporal, and I put it around his neck and I started tightening it. And I was like, can you breathe? No, corp. I'm like, I fucking wonder. And I fucking grabbed him and just started throwing him. Like he was all on his flag. I just threw him to the fucking ground, screaming at him. I was pissed. I was honestly pissed.
Yeah.
No. I do
you
not
can't react
want
like that.
I do not want that fucking kid in combat. If he's somehow lines up in fucking combat and one of his buddies gets shot in the fucking neck and he pulls out a fucking tourniquet and starts wrapping it around the dude's fucking neck, he's a fucking retard. He's gonna get somebody killed.
Yeah.
So I'm freaking out on this kid. So doesn't this fucking black bitch from fucking Motor T fucking mosey her fat fucking ass out of the Motor T shop? And she was a sergeant. I'm a corporal.
Right.
And she comes over and she's like, Corporal, come over here real quick. I'm like, fuck. And I literally just looked at her because I'm at this point, I'm combat deployed. I'm a fucking corporal that's been combat deployed. I am in a unit or a section within a unit I don't give a fuck about some sergeant from Motor T, at all. And I just looked at her and I'm like, what the fuck do you want? And she was like, excuse me, I'm a sergeant. I'm like, okay, sergeant, what the fuck do you want? And she was like, I'm watching you haze your fucking Marines. And I just fucking lost my shit. I'm like, get your fucking ass back in the fucking Motor T shop where you fucking belong. I'm like, go fucking do some fucking paperwork. I'm sorry fucking men are here doing fucking combat shit that you will never fucking understand your entire fucking life. And yeah, that got brought to my command. I got sat down for that one.
Yeah.
It was funny because my staff sergeant was like, I wasn't even mad about you fucking throwing a kid. Just you called the fucking you called somebody higher rank a bitch. You can't do that, Corporal. I'm like, I know, staff sergeant. You're like, don't do that shit again. I'm like, all right, staff sergeant.
Oh yeah, and Mr. Neck Tourniquet's like, oh, I'm saved, and then she leaves and he's not.
Oh no, I hate the fuck out of that kid. I used to I won't dox his name either, but I used to call him my special child. He was fun. I used to call him my special child all the time. It was funny when we visited base probably about a year after we got out too. He was like a corporal. And I fucking saw him, and I immediately just punched him in the gut. I was like, "Sup, bitch!" and he I was like, "God, you're still a fucking pussy." Like, what do I need to do to this kid?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
well,
it was fun.
With that kind of leads into the one question I always ask is if a kid comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to join the military," what advice do you give?
I've talked 8 dudes. I've talked 8 dudes out of joining the military. I keep count. I've talked. There have been exactly. There have been a few, but there have been exactly 8 young guys that I've successfully talked out of joining the military that have fucking talked to me about joining the military.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, especially when most of it was when I was in the construction field, and there's been a couple younger guys that I train when I'm doing service plumbing, but I've talked every single one of them out of it. I'm like, don't.
Huh?
You're not fighting for. Huh?
Do you think the fact that you were deployed had more, gave you more weight to what you were saying?
Yes. Okay. The fact that I was deployed, I have an honorable discharge. I picked up sergeant in 4 years.
Gotcha.
I by all fucking paperwork and accounts was an outstanding Marine.
Right.
That's why I laugh whenever everybody was like, "You're probably some kind of shitbag." No, fuck you.
Right.
I was one of the best in my fucking section at my job by a fucking margin. I sucked at pull-ups. My max probably on a PFT was probably like 14, so suck my dick. Fuck you.
Right.
But I was good. I was a good runner. I was in shape. I could fucking do my job like no other, and I was a fucking good Marine, by all intents and purposes. So, especially by the time I was a corporal, and then later on a sergeant.
Yeah, usually like a 17-year-old or 18-year-old is not going to listen to something, on what they consider to be an adult. You're 25. Gosh, you're ancient. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. But the fact that you had been deployed and seen combat gave you that extra gravitas of,
100%.
Listen, I know what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
So.
And trust me, I had a couple dudes that I would talk to, and I could see it in their eyes. They just think like, oh, he's just some shitbag that has a bad experience. Sure. It's like,
yeah.
But it's like, no, dude, the military's the same. And I just tell them what the recruiter doesn't gonna tell them. I'm like, you're gonna be really good at cleaning.
Right.
You're gonna be the best fucking janitor in the world, bro, on the government dime. Like, you're gonna pick leaves out of grass. Yep. You're gonna mop water in the rain.
Yeah.
You're gonna fucking.
You ever swept sunshine? Get used to it.
No, it truly is. Most of it's stupid shit. I'm like, you think you're gonna go do all this training and be some Ricky Recon fucking badass, so most of the time you're just gonna be doing stupid shit that everybody knows is stupid.
Sure.
But like somehow you're still fucking doing it just because one dickhead that had got some art degrees in charge of you and said you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. And I mean, in the combat itself, it's like I said, I deployed in 2014. So, like, I'm in the quote unquote drawdown on the war, and I'm still seeing, you know, the Taliban and even random warlords, gangs, shit like that. Or, I mean, they're still running around. They don't really fight us as much. I mean, we only took one KIA. We had a couple casualties.
Yeah.
But nothing, only one KIA. The Afghan army, though, fucking you spend 3 hours in an Afghan army base, you would see a dozen casualties come in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that just because of they had more contact or training or
no
training?
Yeah, the Taliban knows. Who the fuck? If you're a fucking Taliban fighter, who are you going to attack? A fucking U.S. Marine Corps platoon or a fucking Afghan army platoon?
Right. Yeah.
Who are you gonna go after?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not stupid.
No one's calling in air to support the ANA.
I mean, even if they do call in airs, those fuckers know what they're doing.
Right.
The fucking the Taliban and even the random fucking farmers were much better fighters than the fucking Afghan army were by a fucking margin. And I mean, the hell, half the fucking Afghan army was fucking Taliban. I mean, you couldn't bring the fucking Afghan army into anything. When you would go to escort them, they were going to go on a mission with you. They're not going into the COC. They're not fucking bringing loaded weapons anywhere near you. You're not being caught alone with them. Like, there was never a trust.
Oh, sure.
I mean, British soldiers come in and out as they please. What's up, bro? Like, fucking, you chill with them all fucking day. Afghan army, not even a little bit.
Right. And I assume that's a combination of poor training and also the risk of you don't even know if these guys are on your side or not.
Yeah, most of these dudes are only there because they get a paycheck and a meal.
Right.
I mean, they're not there for anything significant. I mean, you got onesies and twosies. Every Afghan army unit has its Rambo and, you know, things like that. But I mean, they're not competent. They're not good. We used to have the joke, like, the difference between like Afghan army and the Tiger troops, the Afghan special. We call them Tiger troops because they wore the Tiger camo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Their Afghan special forces is the Afghan army would just smoke a bunch of pot on patrol. The Afghan special forces do coke. Fuck it. At least they're active.
Right.
I mean, no, it's true though. Literally, we'd watch them fucking do bumps off the fucking steering wheel of their fucking trucks as we were going on combat patrols. Yeah, dude.
Wow.
They're constantly doing drugs. They're constantly doing fucked up.
Putting the speed in high speed.
And they're not competent to begin with. Yeah. I mean, me baked as shit. I'm much more tactically proficient than an Afghan army soldier, even sober. I mean, he's not. I mean, obviously we know now because it's 2021 and almost 2022, and we watched Afghanistan fall in less than a week.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's very obvious now, but it's something I used to, talk about all the fucking time. It's like, you're going to go fight for people that were going to fucking lose. Like, you're not winning that war. Those people aren't going to take that fucking country back. Like, the people in the Afghan government have way less of a fucking nationalistic identity than every of those tribes or warlords or even the Taliban itself. Like, they're not going to fight for you.
You might have insight on this, and if not, no big deal. But especially recently, in my lifetime, I guess, we've heard a lot about like PTSD and veteran suicides and all that. It seems to me, and this just might be my lack of historical knowledge, that there's a greater percentage of that than there was in the past. Do you have an opinion or thoughts on that? Am I wrong in that? Or if I'm right, do you have an idea why?
A little bit.
I mean, I'm usually wrong,
better,
so what's new?
It's like most mental disabilities, some I actually learned in college. Like most mental disabilities, we're better at identifying it and treating it now than we were. Because you can go back and back through all American wars or most American, all military history, and you can find documents of people talking about like night terrors and just being fucked up. All the way back to even ancient Bronze Age, you can find documents of fucking soldiers that were generals and shit that like couldn't sleep and were fucked up in the head. And would wake up screaming and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not anything new. I will tell you there is a really fun study done on the Vietnam War where the rate of PTSD amongst Viet Cong were a lot lower than the rates of PTSD amongst American troops.
Oh, really?
And that had to coincide with if you're, I mean, obviously, in my mind, it almost coincides with whether or not you're actually fighting for something you truly believe in compared to just fighting to fight.
Oh, like your motivation or your internal justification or whatever?
The Viet Cong's defending their fucking territory and their land and their people, and the Americans were drafted.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know anything about how the brain works, but that makes sense that would be the case.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I mean, any traumatic event's going to cause PTSD. I mean, PTSD is not significantly some military thing.
Right. Yeah.
But however, there's definitely a lot of fucking people that talk about I have PTSD that don't have PTSD. But I mean, you get into a traumatic car accident, you get fucking raped, you get in any kind of really violent scenario. Your lizard brain is stronger than you think when you get into a position like that where it's really truly animalistic fight or flight, or just witnessing and experiencing or committing animalistic primal urges of violence. Best article I ever read was by an Iraq vet on the topic, and he wound up later becoming a psychologist. He used to talk about it as almost as a light switch where when you really need to, especially if you're trained or you're competent, or you just have the right kind of faculties about you, it's very easy to kind of flip that kind of part of your brain on, flip that switch on, to commit that act of violence or to become that, become that enraged or that bloodthirsty when you need to be. And there's definitely times, even morally, that you just need to be a bloodthirsty motherfucker. You need to be an animalistic, primal fucking machine that just has no regard for your enemy's life.
Right.
However, he goes on where it's really easy to kind of kick that switch on, but it's way fucking harder to kind of turn it back off. Where your body and your brain, as an animal, because remember, we're all just fucking monkeys with anxiety. We're not special.
Yeah.
Your body and your brain on a survival level are very, very attuned to like, no, motherfucker, we need to move, we need to fight, we need to fucking go. But winding that back down is a lot harder because you're fighting against your own kind of survival instinct.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So a lot of that PTSD, a lot of it, I mean, that you see in like, trust me when I say Hollywood, like most other things, most of the Hollywood depictions of it are complete fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of it's victim mentality and fucking everything else and all this other kind of horse shit. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of guys that are fucked up. There's dudes that are 100 times more fucked up than me and 1,000 times more successful than me. It's not something that fucking veterans aren't some kind of fucking debilitated fucking help me fucking no.
Right.
Are there goons that need help? Yeah. But off my little grandstand there. No, it's once you have to kick that survival instinct on, it's really hard to take it back off because your body wants to survive, your mind wants to survive. So you get put into a situation like that, and your brain and your mind and your body have fucking elevated your body to that level of like, no, we're at this fucking level now. Like, we need to fucking operate on this level. It's a lot harder to bring down from that, where your body is still trying to like, you're still react. And honestly, the best advice I ever got was from a Vietnam vet. I was getting drunk as shit in a fucking what the fuck is it, VFW bar because they're cheap. And I was talking to some old Nam vet, man, and we were getting piss fucking drunk together. And he just laid it to me. He was like, you're in Afghanistan. He's like, you got thoughts and shit? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I was in I think he was in fucking like Quezon or some shit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. He was a fucking hard ass. And because we talked for a little while, and he's just like, it just gets better in time, man. He's like, stay off the juice. He's like, smoke a lot of weed. He's like, time makes it better. He's like, just get through it. It was the best advice I ever fucking got.
Yeah. Huh.
Because I used to get panic attacks. I used to get startled really easily. I had a really bad time with I still do every now and then. Probably the most I do is just input of information. Like I get really hyper vigilant. Like I'm trying to intake way too much information that I don't need a fucking intake.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
I kind of get exhausted from that and everything like that. Like I'm definitely a lot better than I used to be. I mean, like I said, I was never in any kind of fucking super serious situation. So
sure, but yeah.
I mean, I had a couple close calls and I had a couple things that kind of really fucking stick with me. I just can't forget about, but it's not anything that's gonna fucking drag me down. And it's definitely throughout time. It's just gotten better and better. And,
sure.
Less of my body it reflexes the way it used to. So it makes life a little bit easier. Like it used to be so bad that if like I had a female in my bed with me and she like rolled over in me, I'd fucking grab her.
Just your natural reaction.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be fucking. I mean, I never fucking like hurt him. It would just be like my arm would just shoot up and I would just grab him. And I'd like wake up and like, oh,
right, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, never anything fucking serious or anything. Like I know fucking guys that have fucking grabbed their wives by the fucking throat in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
there's some serious shit that fucking happens. Thankfully, like I said, I wasn't in the shit. Like I'm a combat vet by all means and intents and purposes, but I was never in a fucking like I wasn't in fucking Ramadi. Like
right, yeah.
But I wasn't in fucking Sangin in 2012. Like
you usually spent the night back in the Connex box.
Yeah, I mean, I probably spent 1 or 2 weeks, like a week and a half was probably the most I ever spent outside the wire, and then went back to Leatherneck, took a shower, went to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't on a patrol base that was getting attacked every day. Like
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, so then you came back, you got out. How long were you back before you got out? Back in the US?
About a year and a half. Year and some change.
Okay.
Somewhere in between that. Yeah. I was a corporal for most of my Marine Corps journey out. Picked up sergeant literally on terminal leave, so that doesn't really count. But I still say I got out as a sergeant because fuck you. Right. I earned that rank. But
nice.
Yeah, I got back and then I was a corporal. I picked up corporal right before I deployed. I got back and I pretty much lived out my career as corporal for the last it was about a year and a half or so because I got out December 12th, 2015.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and so what was your main impetus for not re-upping?
The faggotry of the military.
Okay, all right.
and like how stupid they were.
Sure.
If they had given me a re-enlistment package in Afghanistan or directly after when I was still with my infantry unit, I probably would have signed that bitch.
Okay.
It was the fact that I got back to my POGAS, bitch ass, hasn't deployed since 2009 fucking unit. That does a bunch of fucking gay stupid shit, has a bunch of incompetent fucking officers and a bunch of fucking corporals that think being a corporal is just yelling at guys.
Right.
Basically a bunch of fucking retards that haven't deployed or haven't done shit. I got back to that fucking unit and I was done. Because my biggest fear was that most of the Marine Corps, most of the military is this fucking unit. And I don't want to be fucking stuck here anymore. It made me, because, you got to figure out was with 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, my infantry, my Victor unit, for pre-deployment, training, and fucking deployment. And after, I was with them for like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you chop over. You got to figure deployment's about 7 months, 6-7 months. Pre-deployment's about 6 months, 6-7 months. I mean, you chop over, you're with the unit, you start fucking pre-deployment training long, and then another 3 months or so after that, 2 months, something like that. Yeah. After I got back. But yeah, I mean, I just got back to my fucking unit. My unit, the Battalion of the Marines, was one of the units with the worst retention rates in the entire Marine Corps for a very good reason. In fact, it was so bad the retention rates were so bad in my unit that we were actually running out of NCOs because it's all junior guys.
Right.
Nobody wants to re-enlist. And then so the battalion command started pushing down this rule of everybody has to put in a re-enlistment package, but then you could just deny the orders after. So the way they were doing that was that they could then go to the regiment and be like, hey, I have so many re-enlistment packages to make their numbers look better. But then you wouldn't re-enlist because once you got the orders, you just wouldn't sign off on them. You'd be like, no, fuck you.
Oh,
you would get out. Because you can deny any orders you get in the Marine Corps in the military.
But
any
then you're
paper
out.
orders of, but then you're either out or you'll get repercussions. But obviously, if you're getting out of the Marine Corps, like, it doesn't matter.
Right, right.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing, and I straight up told them to go fuck themselves. I was sitting, my career planner is a staff sergeant, we have a career planner, and he's sitting there, and he's like, so you're not going to re-enlist, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm done. And he was like, and I, dude, my MOS had a fucking bonus, too. I had like a $50,000 signing bonus.
Yeah.
Like, where you just get $50,000. And it was even worse. That's where I said if they had got me in Afghanistan, because all your pay, including sign-on bonuses in country, are tax-free.
Oh, right.
You don't get taxed on your pay, and you don't get taxed if you get sign-on bonuses. And then the sign-on bonus at that point was about $60,000, and it would have been completely tax-free, just $60,000 straight into the fucking
just because you're
account.
Deployed out of country.
Yep, and that's why the big reason why our pay increases too. I always thought it was fucked up how I get paid with tax money and I had to pay taxes.
Right, yeah,
tax
for sure.
money. That always seemed very like what, but in country when you're deployed, you get combat and hazard pay and overseas pay.
Sure,
you get little bumps for that, but then you also all your pay is tax free. You don't get taxed on it. You don't owe it to the IRS later. You don't get taxed on it at all. So, like, I went from making, as a corporal, about $860 every 2 weeks or so to about, like, $1,400 every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Like, just, the fucking, all that money, by the way, gone. I was a 21-year-old back from Afghanistan. That shit was gone in 6 months on bitches and booze.
Yep.
But,
is that the case? Is that like just combat deployed, or is that like even Okinawa?
Okinawa, you'd have to ask Luke and Type. You have to ask Luke and Type about that. I am pretty sure they didn't get hazard and combat pay, and they still got taxed, but they did get overseas pay, so they did get little bumps.
Sure, okay.
And their actual pay itself, because Okinawa is not actually a duty station. It technically qualifies as like a deployed type situation.
Okay. Right.
So, like, because it's only 2 years. You only go for there for 2 years, and then you come back.
Right.
It's a 2-year rotation.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's definitely something you'd have to... I'm pretty sure... I have to see if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they get overseas pay, but they still get taxed and all that other shit. But like I said, they were actually in Okinawa, so you'd have to ask them about that.
Okay, yeah. Huh. Yeah, cool. Speaking of them... You wanna plug the show or just not?
Man, decision. No, so myself, Luke, and Typo, all three of us started a podcast. Luke and Typo still carry on the podcast. I just don't have the time or energy really to do it anymore.
Well, and it's subpar since then. Let's be honest.
Nah, they do. I actually still listen to it. They do a very good job. The two of them together are very good. No, because Typo talks more and he's smart. So like, now that me and Luke aren't like fighting each other all the time because we're both fucking A-male fucking vocal fucking people, like we would always like combat, and Typo would just be like all right. But Typo's very.
You're mostly fighting about who got to haze Typo.
Yeah, but now that I'm gone, it's nice though because Typo actually talks a lot more because he's a very intelligent guy. I mean, he was an Intel nerd. But he's a very smart dude, so he gets to talk a lot more. But Biting the Bullet is the podcast for those that somehow are listening to this and don't know about it. It's a very good show. My buddies Luke and Typo, the Okinawa boys are the ones that run it now, but they have all kinds of vets on all the time. They have really good guests on a lot. And they just talk about shit. It's a good time. It's we always wanted to orient that podcast as if it was like some dude wandered into the smoke pit on a Saturday night at like 2:00
Yeah.
in the morning, and everybody's just fucking at that point of drunkenness because there's no bitches. So everybody's at that point of drunkenness where they're just talking about like politics and shit,
Right.
which always happened. So that's what we wanted to recreate in our show. It's just like, this is not like, I'm not some theory guy. This is just fucking a bunch of Marines talking about politics. Like, we're in the smoke pit, man. And it's held true to that. It's pretty fucking, I enjoy it every now and again.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been in the smoke pit, obviously, but that's how it felt to me. Like, I really felt like I was in the middle of just a chat.
A bunch of boys being drunk talking about shit.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of inspired me a little bit in the show format, but yeah, pretty cool show. Yeah, it has changed since you left. It is interesting seeing how it's adjusted a little bit.
Yeah, well,
maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, a little bit.
Because it honestly used to be me and Luke were kind of like the heads of the show, and we would fucking go.
And Typo would laugh.
Typo would laugh, but he'd also come in with just these bombs here and there. He'd just drop these H bombs. Like here, like every episode, he'd get at least 2 or 3 in that were just like, that's fucking spot on, boy.
Right.
Because me and Luke we were both kind of the same personality complexes. We're both very outgoing. We're very loud, and we talk over each other and shit.
Right.
I'm a little bit worse about it. I'll admit that. I tried, especially during the end. I don't know if you noticed, but I do try to reel myself back because I do just the way I talk and shit like that. I'm a New Yorker. I can't help it.
Yep.
My family was like, either you fight to talk or you don't talk. So, but yeah, now that it's just Luke and Typo running it, I mean, you still got Luke who's he's spitting his shit. But Typo picks it up a lot more, and Typo is a very intelligent cat, so it definitely makes for a good show. They have very good episodes. I still pop in every once and again, but I mostly stay out of that scene. That I like what they're doing with it. It's turned into a very excellent show, and I'm actually just happy that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to pop in to remind everybody of the vocal fry they're missing.
Yeah, my fucking nasally ass fucking New York fucking voice. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of How I Embraced the Suck. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend. And as my Girl Scout den mother used to say, stay frosty.
I mean, it is truly the Marine Corps is a call. But that's why, like, the Marine Corps, because there's always that thing about like, do we need a Marine Corps? And I'm like, you need something like it. Like, I don't care if you're an anarchist military like force or you need a bunch of brainwashed, violent dipshits as your shock troops. Like, that's just, you need it. You need a bunch of fucking dudes that are really good at killing people and just like completely retarded, and just have them fist fuck their way through war, and it works out.